The Blackhawks lose 2-1 in Salt Lake City, but hey, it could have been way, way worse if not for Arvid Soderblom. We're going to talk about the game next on the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Hawks lose 2-1 to the eventual Outlaws or Mammoth. Get your votes in now. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Mario Tirabassi. Sarah's here running the show as well. We've got a lot to talk about and not much to talk about at the same time. Before we do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page. And if you're catching up on the podcast, do us a favor and make sure you are following or subscribed on your favorite app. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. As we said, Hawks lose 2-1. Late goal scored by Utah. Well, not late, about halfway through the second period. And Mario, as soon as that goal went in, that game felt over.
The late second period goal?
No, the game-winning goal.
Oh. Well, yeah, the game-winning goal.
But both, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said at the start of the third period, it said this game's tied 1-1. It might as well be 4-1.
Right.
And it felt that way. The first period was a good start to the game. Hawks get the lead. Mm-hmm. Like it's a pretty even game. That second period was not the worst second period that they've had all season, but towards the back half of it, you started to see that possession domination wear on the Hawks, and then into the third period, they just got a term that I saw from Phil Thompson describing Sunday's game, mollywopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. That third period was the Blackhawks getting mollywopped again. And they got just watching this game was extremely frustrating because it felt like basically outside of the 5 times that they were on a penalty kill, even at 5-on-5, they felt like a penalty kill. And the shot attempt numbers are staggering.
Wait till you hear this.
This is at 5-on-5.
Well, I've got the whole game, so you go first.
5-on-5. Corsi. So shot attempts. 69.
Nice.
For Utah. 19 for the Blackhawks. That is a minus 50 differential in trying to put the puck towards the net. For the entire game, 93 for Utah, 39 for the Blackhawks.
93 shot attempts.
Got worked.
54 shot attempt difference. They more than doubled the Blackhawks shot attempts.
They got worked. And the expected goals for Utah, by the way, 4.76. And they scored 2.
Yeah.
So
Soderblom is awesome.
Hat off to Arvid Soderblom.
He is one of our nominees for 4-star of the game. Get your votes in. I'm pretty sure he's going to win, so you can just go ahead and make that graphic now, Sarah. Yeah. But the other nominee, and this player deserves a special shout-out. We have spent all week being very hard on this player, and with good reason. But Seth Jones with a goal, 25-27 of ice time, 2 shots, 8 shot attempts, 5 hits, a takeaway, and 4 block shots. Busted his ass at the end of a long shift to save icing and keep the game within reach. Any concerns that Seth Jones is going to mail it in here while he waits for a trade? Not the case. He played his ass off, and he's one of the few. And we need to have a tough conversation here about Connor Bedard. 0 shot attempts until the net was empty in the third period. Same thing happened against Toronto. 0 shot attempts until the Hawks were late in the game trying to get back in it. That can't happen. I don't want to hear about line mates. I don't want to hear about he needs better players around him. Today he played with Frank Nazar and Tyler Bertuzzi. He should be able to get a shot attempt. Not a single one until he floated one wide as time was wearing down in this game. That's unacceptable. I'm sorry. You can make all the excuses you want. All of them, as you look at the season as a whole, are valid. But in 2 games, he's got 2 shot attempts, I believe. Since that is unacceptable. And excuses aside, you know who else doesn't have anyone to play with? Tyler Bertuzzi, but he had 4 shots on goal. Pat Maroon had 2 shots on goal. Frank Nazar had 3. Ilya Mikheyev had 2. Kurashev 2. Seth Jones, like I said, 8 shot attempts. 0 shot attempts until the net is empty for Connor Bedard is inexcusable. Nothing. There's no excuse I will accept to excuse that. He has to be better. He has to be more focused on the game. He has to be more north and south. This perimeter stuff is not going to work. I'm sorry. And he just has to get it through his head that he is no longer with the Regina Pats. He's not. He's got to be better. That can't happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it goes along the lines of, like, you know, we were talking about him playing with Slaggert and Donato and teams just focusing on, okay, we'll let Slaggert and Donato beat us. So focusing on stopping Bedard. Tonight, I mean, the lines still got jumbled in the middle of the game, but you started out with Nazar and Bertuzzi. That was the go-to. You'd figure, okay, that's a little bit more of an offensive threat with Nazar and Bertuzzi playing with Bedard rather than, you know, Donato's been having a really good year, but you can live with allowing him to try and beat you. But Nazar, Bertuzzi, Bedard, they've worked well together as a trio this year. So if they get that going, like that's a little tougher for a team to beat. But even still, Bedard is still the focal point. He still should be the guy that is getting the most offensive opportunities, you'd imagine. And he's going to be the guy that teams still focus on. But, I mean, against Toronto, sure, they're a better team than Utah. And, like, having just the 1 shot attempt late in the game, okay, rough, but you live with it. Against Utah, it's still a decent team fighting for their playoff life, something to play for, but not as player-for-player talented as Toronto. It's got to be better. Individually, it's got to be better. As a team, it's got to be better. For Bedard individually, I'm saying, like, it's just that is rough. And I think as you said, like, there's a lot of times where it seems like there's plays that he's trying that we've seen years ago, long years ago, Connor Bedard in the WHL pulling that off and getting a shot on goal or scoring or having a highlight reel play. But those plays don't translate to the NHL. A lot of them, the majority of them. So this is getting to the end of his second full season in the NHL. Like, I think he does need more help. Yes.
Yeah, of
but
course.
There's also got to be a little bit more growth in the, I want to say, knowledge of the NHL game, of what works, what doesn't, and what's going to be most effective, especially in games like this where, you know, you have a team, you have to make each of your possessions count, because as the game goes on, you're getting less and less of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here. And Sarah made the pregame graphic that said 25 games to go, and I kind of chuckled at it because that's how it feels. It just feels like we're just playing out the stretch here, and looking up and down this roster and watching this performance tonight, it feels that way from a vast majority of this team, where they're just there to collect a check. They're there to run out the clock to either the trade deadline, and they're trying to stay healthy to get to that point, or they're just done and just want the year to end. I know it's hard. You're a professional. I mean, if I see Alec Martinez pull up on a check one more time or lose a battle in front of the net one more time, I'm going to lose my damn mind. I'm sorry. It's just so aggravating. And you'd think this 2-week break, watching hockey at its highest level, and, you know, some guys were in Mexico, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. They deserve their time off, of course.
You can still watch it in Mexico.
You'd think you would come back from that a little bit rejuvenated, a little jump in your step. They kind of went into the break playing a little bit better. Yeah. Bedard was on a point streak. Everybody was doing okay. And I actually said, like, going into the break, like, this is not a great time for a break. They're actually looking better. and they've come back as if, I don't know, like all of their dogs died over the break.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
It really has, these 3 games back, none of them have felt good. There have been small glimpses, but it just, like you're saying, like it feels like they came back from the break and guys were like, it almost feels like they've begrudgingly resumed the season. Like, oh, okay, well, that was a nice break. Back to this. Like, that's just what it feels like. That's what it feels like as a fan. It's what it feels like, watching this team and the guys on the ice. I think their play is reflecting it. And this isn't to say like, oh, they're not trying, but I think there are a few times where you look and you're just like, effort could have been better on that play. And Andrew Sorensen has said it since he started as interim head coach, is that effort and effort is going to make up for a lot of the problems that this team has had.
Said that day one
and
he took over.
Some games it's there. Some games they are the team that looks like Utah tonight. And it's few and far between. It's nice when it happens. But for the majority of games this season, under both head coaches, and especially these last 3, it has just been rough sledding. And I don't know if, they over a 17-day stretch coming back from this break, they've got 10 games, 0-3 to start that stretch. You got to figure it out. You got to figure out, and we've said it we've said it each post game since coming back from the break. You have to figure out what you're playing for. What are you individually, player for player, playing for? What matters to you, and what are you going to use to motivate you through the final now 24 games of the season? You got to figure it out.
Yeah. Star Panda 7 says, who broke Bedard? I don't know. I don't know if he's discouraged because he's not getting the results, or he feels he's not getting enough help, or what, but I'm done at this point kind of blaming everyone else for Connor Bedard's struggles. Like, when every player throughout history has said, when you struggle either as an individual or as a team, you've got to simplify the game. And when we see Connor Bedard struggling, he's doing the opposite. And I do think part of it is he's trying to be perfect. He's trying to make the perfect play, trying to make things happen, and it's not working. And then the frustration builds, and it's a vicious cycle, right? I don't think it is an intentional thing for him, but this is where I need a real-ass coach.
Mm-hmm.
I need a coach to be able to handle and guide him through this. And when you talk about a player being broken, be it Connor Bedard, be it whoever you want it to be, name them, right? Throughout the history of the game, someone has been able to get them and pull them out of this slump. I don't see anyone here that is doing anything that's give me any confidence to think, yes, they have people on staff that are going to be able to work this guy through the league, through his struggles. It's very frustrating. There have been more times this year where he has looked frustrated and upset than he's looked excited to play hockey. And this is a kid who lives and breathes hockey 24/7. Yeah. And he looks like he's not having any fun on the ice whatsoever.
Yep. You compare it to the environment that the San Jose Sharks have going on with them right now. They're below the Blackhawks in the standings. And everyone is just like, ooh, Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, they're so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go to see a San Jose Sharks game. Oh, wow. Like, they're so fun. Wow, look at all of them having a lot of fun out there, being last place in the league. And then you look at the Blackhawks, and it's just like, Connor Bedard cannot wait to quit playing hockey forever because of his 2 seasons in Chicago. The atmosphere, the optics, the results, it's horrendous. And you can't, this comes down as much importance as we've been putting on it as this season has progressed. And as we get down to the final few months of the season, going into the offseason, this is the pressure that Kyle Davidson has to figure out this team, figure out the actual talent that you need to bring into this team via trades or free agency, and the head coaching position. And it's not Anders Sorensen. Nice guy. He's going to go back to being the Rockford IceHogs head coach.
Do a good job
and
there,
that's fine. They need a real NHL coach with real NHL assistants as well. I think it has to be a completely revamped coaching staff because, just like you said, you got to have someone in here that you feel with uncertain or with 100% certainty they can get Connor Bedard and the rest of the group to the next level.
I don't believe it's here now. I don't, and I think
not.
That
it's clearly not.
My priority now from the offseason is get the coach right. That's almost more important than getting a top free agent, because if you were to drop Mikko Rantanen or Mitch Marner in this game, it wouldn't have been significantly different.
Be a little different.
It would have helped a little, but I don't think it would have been significantly different. They need someone that can ingrain a system, beat it into these guys' heads, and get the respect of the team. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe there's meetings and they're going over film with coaches and they're like, what? I mean, we saw it with the Bears last year where everyone's like, what is going on with this coaching staff? It is absolutely brutal. And look, we know that Anders Sorensen can be an effective coach in Rockford. He's done it. We've seen it. He's been able to develop players pretty decently, but it's different in the NHL. And when you've got pros looking to their leaders for an answer and they never get it, after a while, it's going to be like, well, guess we're just playing out the stretch here, because we in football, you get it more because every play can be broken down, because every play in itself is an individual act.
Right.
This was bad. This was bad. This was bad. This was bad. This timeout was bad. This decision was bad. And players can be asked about specifics. Same in baseball. In hockey, it's all a collective of the game. There are moments here and there, but I don't know. I have concerns that these players have just checked out on this coaching staff. They'll never admit it. They'll never say it, but I don't know what the answer is, because as we've said since day one, yeah, we did not expect this team to be a playoff team, but we expected a hell of a lot more than this. This is unacceptable on all levels. We'll be back with more on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Hit that like button. We'll get to your super chats next.
Seth Jones's filter is off.
All right.
We will have more on that after this word from our friends at Right On Optics. You will see and hear very clearly the message coming from one Seth Jones tonight. Won't need Right On Optics to get a clear view of that. But if you are looking for a clear view, no matter what your outdoor activities are, it's past my bedtime. It's always important to have the best view. Right On Optics offers a full range of optic products so that you can see clearly. Everyone can use a good pair of binoculars, right? Sturdy. Better views for your kids' sporting events if you've been asked to watch from the parking lot. Better views of those birds that you're watching out there in wildlife. And you can bring them to the stadium so that even if you're sitting in the nosebleeds, you can feel like you're right up on the glass or right at the 50-yard line. Right On offers higher performance at a lower price, the perfect balance of performance and value that won't break the bank. And Right On has the Right On Promises unlimited warranty for the lifetime of your binoculars. Not only covers defects, but also accidental damage from drops. So if you're up there high in the nosebleed section or up high in a tree, you drop your Right On binoculars and they happen to break, you can get them replaced. No questions asked. Get a better look at everything with quality products you know and trust. Check out the full site at rightonoptics.com/CHGO. Again, that's Right On Optics, RITON optics.com/CHGO.
And light beer just got significantly better. Introducing Sam Adams American Light. It's clean, crisp, super easy to drink. There's no gimmicks. There's no fluff. Sam Adams American Light is not your average light beer. You know Sam Adams. You know they make great beer. Well, they just got into the light beer game. It's brewed with 100% American-sourced ingredients from local independent farmers. It's light beer that's made right. Light beer should not feel like a compromise. It is delicious, and it is light. That is what I'm looking for when I drink a beer. It tastes like beer. It doesn't taste like water. It tastes like actual beer that doesn't feel like I just drank a newspaper. That's what I'm talking about. It's an American classic, so smooth you want to crack open another one. It's always Sam season. Light beer just got better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light, available now at select Chicago retailers. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly. And now it is time for What's Brewing, presented by our friends at Sam Adams American Light. Alex Ovechkin is now 12 goals away from Wayne Gretzky's record, a 30-goal season. Alex Ovechkin's 19th 30-goal season comes at age 39, making him one of just 4 players to achieve the feat at this age or older. Ovechkin joins Gordie Howe, John Busick, and Teemu Selanne as 30-goal scorers at the age of 39 or older. That via the NHL.
It's pretty crazy.
It's unbelievable the season Alex Ovechkin is having. And by the way, Hawks and Caps, April 4th.
12 goals away from setting the record.
Yep.
That game against the Blackhawks is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
no
18,
way.
19. 19 games away.
No.
Yeah. I thought it was maybe a little bit closer. No, I feel a little bit more confident now that it'll be broken before then.
He did score 800 against the Hawks, and we were there to see it. It was amazing.
In a hat trick fashion. Yeah. 12 goals honestly, 12 goals in 19 games, that's a really good pace.
He'll beat that.
But
He'll shatter
the
that.
way he is scoring, I think he might do it before the end of March.
Yeah. All right, before we get to super chats, you teased the Seth Jones comments. Let's hear those. I'm sure they're delightful.
This via Ben Pope says, Seth Jones, whose filter is completely gone at this point, quote, "We're the exact same team right now as we were game 1. It's pretty evident out there. We haven't made any strides to be a better, more simple hockey team, and it shows." What is the one thing from the first game in Utah to now this game in Utah that I think we have said more than almost anything?
Simplify the game.
Is play friggin' simple. You're not talented enough to play fancy hockey. You have to play straightforward, simple, north and south. We've been begging this team to do that all season, and we're not crazy. It's right there from a guy who is, say what you want about him, he's always been mostly open and honest, and this is the most open and honest that you could say from a guy who's at this stage of his career, who's at this stage with this team, and he's right. He's right.
He said nothing wrong.
This team has not improved at all. And sure, at the beginning of the year, you say, well, you got a bunch of new guys coming in, got to figure each other out. That flew for about, 10 games at most. And then it's just like, figure it out, guys. A lot of these guys are veterans. You should be able to figure things out and how to play with each other and how to play off of each other. It was a simple system. And yeah, when they got under Andrew Sorensen, it was a different system. It was more offensive, but it's the same guys doing the same things. And it's so ineffective. This group being so ineffective blows my mind, because on paper, this team should not have been as bad as they have been this year.
Way.
And, everyone just being like, oh, you told us they were going to be better. Yeah, everyone believed that this team was going to be better.
We said in meaningful games until Christmas or New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Like within the hunt for a wild card spot until then, and then things would start to fall off then.
They
were out of it in freaking November.
Being in the mid-70s at the end of the year in points would have been a 20-point improvement. And that's a crazy improvement off of a team that finished second to last year. And even that is like, oh, okay, well, you'll probably finish 6th or 7th in the league. Like, yeah, that would have been an improvement. And that felt real for what this team was coming into this year. And it just, for whatever it is, it's falling again very short of what should have been minimal low bar achievements this year.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people, frustrated after this game, and understandably so, talking about the rebuild. And look, I still think that the rebuild is in good shape. I think they've got a lot of good prospects. They're going to have another top 3 pick this year, probably. And the guys that they have in the system already are thriving at their levels. What they turn out to be in the NHL remains to be seen, but so far so good. My concern now, though, and it really has been for about a month, is there seems to be a culture issue here. And like Seth Jones said, like we have said over and over again, this team refuses to take to the coaching that is being given to them. Because I'll guarantee you, however seriously they take Sorensen is telling them, simplify the game. Kevin Dean is telling them, simplify the game. We have heard it over and over and over and over. And the players are the ones who are not responding and not getting the message. And fine. Like half these guys, not half, but a significant majority of these guys will be gone after this year. And the sooner the better in my mind. But how many games will it take? How many times do we hear Nick Foligno say, we have to find our identity? Any freaking day now.
Oh, they have
24 games to go. Yeah, your identity is you suck. That's your identity. I'm sorry. You suck, you're uncoachable, and you haven't gotten better at all. If anything, you've gotten worse. So, yes, I am still encouraged about the prospects coming down the road, but I am significantly concerned about when those prospects get here, what kind of culture and what sort of leadership is leading them on the ice. This coaching hire is massive.
Yeah.
If Kyle Davidson screws this one up, rebuild be damned, they've got to move on. I'm sorry. You can't just give him carte blanche 7 years to rebuild the team if he botches this coaching hire and does nothing to improve the team this year. And again, if Marner and Rantanen don't become free agents, fine. You can't force them. Whatever. Find a way to improve the team otherwise. And if those don't work and the coaching changes don't work, you've got to make a change. Maybe you promote Brian Campbell. I don't know. Maybe it's someone else from internally that understands and wants to keep the rebuild going, but it can't just be, well, yeah, you chose to do the rebuild. You've done a good job with prospects, but we're going to give you 7 years to get here and 3 coaches. And no, I'm sorry. This coach hire has to be a hit. Mm-hmm. It has to be. And even if it's not the next Scotty Bowman, it's got to be a guy who clearly improves where this team is now to where this team is at the end of next season. A team, by the way, which should be significantly younger next year and less experienced than they are now. Mm-hmm. So that's the other thing is you're going to get rid of the Martinezes and the Maroons and the Donatos and the veteran players that either you like or dislike, doesn't matter. They're going to be gone. You're going to fill in with Korchinski and Del Mastro, and Allen will be playing every game. And maybe it's Oliver Moore. Maybe it's Colton Dock, 82 games, or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. Fine. There's going to be a huge learning curve there. But you've got to see more up than down as the season goes on.
Honestly, I'm all for the majority of the roster spots that are opening up based off of guys coming off of one-year deals that you really should have no business re-signing. Guys like Maroon, Smith, Martinez. If they're not traded by the trade deadline, then they're done. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this season. Move on. I'm all for same with Jones. Maybe you get a player that replaces him in the lineup in a trade or whatever. Donato, we'll see. If you bring him back, fine. If you trade him, there's another open spot. But again, I'm all for, outside of signing a gigantic free agent like a Marner or Rantanen, I'm all for all the young guys coming up, all those types of young guys coming up and filling those roles. Change the atmosphere. We were just talking about it with the Sharks. Change the atmosphere of this team to where Connor Bedard and his buddies are now all here together. He can have some guys that are supposed to be part of this growth and the future of the team, all like Nazar and Korchinski and Dalmastro, and you get more of those young guys in. Colton Dock becomes a regular. Slaggert, he's already signed to a extension on a one-way deal. He's going to be here next year too. Like, get those guys up together, get them growing at the NHL level together. Like, that is, along with getting the coaching hire right, because that's a big part of it, but that is a way to change the atmosphere and the culture and the vibe of the locker room of like, okay, been talking about rebuild, been talking about growth, development. Let's all do it as a group.
Yep.
A lot of you guys have done it, early on in your careers with Rockford and moved up. Now let's do it as a group. Vlasic's a guy that's been here for a few seasons now. He's still part of that young group, but he's more of a leader within that young group. Bedard's been here. He's obviously a face and a leader of the young group as well. You can have more of that grow, more guys that have had some time in the NHL kind of grow that organic leadership, as Kyle Davison said a few summers ago, that they wanted to try and build. Have that happen with the young guys. I am also beyond the veteran mentorship. You got some veterans that are still around. You'll have Connor Murphy likely still around next year. Foligno's back. Dickinson's back. Like, Tavo's here. Bertuzzi.
That's enough for me.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's get the young guys going next year. Change the atmosphere. Change the culture. And have them grow together at the NHL level. And I'm done with, scratching some of these guys so guys like TJ Brody can play. I'm done with it.
Yep. I'm with you.
We're
all
up
right,
on
got to
the
hit the break zone.
break zone.
We got all your super chats to get to next, and we will hit that like button for us. We got a lot of people liking. We got to get over that 100 like mark. Come on, people. Hit that like button. I know you're frustrated with the Hawks. Please hit that like button. We'll be back with more on the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Show.
You know what you won't be frustrated with? Our good friends at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. Going on right now, they got their auto show deals, which means you can save on the latest vehicles that you've been looking for, because they are now priced with huge auto show savings, like $11,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Or, of course, you can check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you are sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you'll always get a great deal. Plus, talking about a great deal, you're talking about Ray's Price Promise, which lets you shop confidently, because a guarantee of no add-ons and no hidden fees and no gimmicks means the price that you see and hear is the price that you pay. Don't have to worry about any price changing, no stressful negotiations or any tricks. The people at Ray Chevrolet just want to help you get into the right vehicle at the right price. So go see for yourself. Visit our partners this month, February, at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on their auto show sales event going on all month long. Be the star of the show and take $11,000 off of MSRP today by shopping Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake, or go to raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
And with all that money you save with Ray, you can go have some fun with our friends at Prize Picks Daily Fantasy. It is so much fun, and you can now win up to 1,000 times your money. Wow, that's like $1,000 on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states, including all of you in California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million customers and sign up today. Here's how it works. You go to whatever game you want to play on Prize Picks. You say, let's see, I think Seth Jones is going to have over a shot and a half. I think Connor Bedard is going to have under a shot and a half. I think Arvid Soderblom is going to make over 50 saves. Mm-hmm. You put those together, you combine them. The more you combine, the more you win. It's that simple. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. That's every Tuesday. Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the app today and use code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today. Use code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And we have a crap ton of super chats. And
we'd like to remind you folks, well, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Programming live on the air. Elliot Friedman says, headed to bed, so you'll have to find the video on your own, which we eventually will. Says Seth Jones, very blunt in his post-game after Chicago lost to Utah. Says incredibly disheartened in a game. Shot attempts were 93 to, he says 29. It was 39.
Yeah, Elliot.
Petition to, within reason, continue the show beyond our fast 1 hour time frame if the post-game video is in late.
Yeah, I believe that,
because I feel like,
I think that was a, did they talk to him on the, because someone commented on it in the chat.
Was it on the
I need to know,
broadcast?
Was it the CHSN post-game show, or was it actual at the,
they probably played it on the CHSN
that's probably
show
true.
from the post-game video. So
right,
if we get it from the Hawks in time, within reasonable time, I think it's going to be worth playing.
I've got the email open, so I
also do.
I'm looking at, as soon as it comes in, we will grab it and put up I got nothing going on.
Yeah, I just got to go to bed eventually.
I got nowhere to be. I want to clear something up, by the way. Someone in the chat said they need to make a change in the front office. There's no NHL experience. Yes, I know. Kyle Davidson played 0 NHL games. Norm McIver played 501. Brian Campbell played 1,082. Mark Eaton played 650.
Are they saying no NHL experience in that they didn't play games?
Right, in the front office.
Or no NHL experience in that they've been
Well, he also worked in the front office for, like, 10 years?
Davidson,
yeah, before he was named GM.
He started with the organization in 2011, worked his way up the ladder. Brian Campbell has been around hockey a very long time.
Megan Hunter is a Hunter.
Megan Hunter is from that Hunter family and one of the best women's players that's come through.
Yeah, it's a huge.
Yeah, so to say the front office has
mistruth.
no experience is that's just wrong.
Okay. Anyway, to the super chats, Nico $2 says Anders needs to figure out Bedard's line and fast. Well, I mean,
you haven't figured it out by now.
Before the game, we all seemed pretty pleased with Nazar, Bertuzzi, and Bedard.
And then he broke up the, then he broke up that line midway through the game. So,
well, you got to do something. I mean, it was pretty brutal. Let's see. I'm trying to look at the time on ice here. That was still the second most common line, 8:39 at 5-on-5 for that trio. The only line with more was Foligno, Teravainen, and McCabe at 8:43.
Yeah.
So, Bedard, Donato, and Nazar played together for 2 minutes. 1:49.
I think they had Doc and Bertuzzi with Bedard at some point too.
Yeah,
so.
I think they were just trying anything.
Yeah.
Gurnias says Soderblom deserved to win tonight with how he played. Absolutely.
Yeah, he almost got it.
$5 super chat. Alec K says, as media, can you ask why they don't put Bedard, Tavo, and Bertuzzi together? It blows my mind. I've never heard media ask Anders about that in scrums. It has been asked.
It's been asked.
And
again, there hasn't really been a great answer because it's been asked to both Sorensen and Richardson at different times this year. And that trio just has not played together.
They'll always just say we like Teravainen and McCabe together or whatever it might be.
Yeah. I mean, what's the harm in trying?
Yep.
Right?
Mr. Koala, $10 says, I really feel for Bedard. He knew the Hawks would be bad, but the contact line shuffles and no team identity other than being losers sucks. He looks like he doesn't enjoy the game anymore. Chris P with his everyday super chat. We appreciate it. $2 says, was lucky to be in person. Saw many red jerseys. Yep. Hawks fans travel really well, especially when it's like one of the first few times they've played there. Michael says, how soon does Kyle Davidson get looked at? We talked about that earlier. This is a massive offseason for him and a giant coaching hire.
Yeah, the microscope is on him now.
Yes.
For sure.
Ralph J says the front office is a problem. No hockey people there. That's what I was referring to.
No. Ralph, come on.
Yeah. 3 of the 4.
Thank you for your $2, but no hockey people.
Yeah, 4 of the 6 are hockey people. Windy City Hockey, $5 says if John Cooper hits the market, cut him a blank check and get him. He's the free agent right now. I hope he hits the market to go get. Yeah, that would be great. That's the pipe dream, I think. But hey, you know what? If you want to give him some kind of elevated title, head coach / director of hockey operations or something, and give him a giant contract, do it. I have no doubt the Hawks will spend money. I just need them to spend it wisely.
Yeah.
And Henry LeBlanc gives us $7 Canadian. Says, I'm tired of coaches with zero NHL experience who have simply played NHL hockey. I think he means coaching experience. Time to spend some cash and get an actual coach with a brain.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think that Sorensen is dumb. I just think that right now this organization needs a bona fide leader behind the bench. Someone that is going to inspire, is going to coach, and when the players look at him, say, all right, this is a guy who's done it before. We've talked a lot about Mike Sullivan, a guy who has won a Stanley Cup, has coached Sidney Crosby, right? Has coached the Foreign Nations U.S. team. That's the sort of guy, when you got a young team and he tells you something, it's going to stick a little more than Sorensen or Richardson. Or look, like Luke Richardson played 1 million NHL games. Very few of these guys were alive when he played. You know, like,
yeah. I mean, he played a long time. He had AHL head coaching experience and NHL assistant coaching experience coming into it. Anders Sorensen has been an AHL assistant and head coach over the last few years with the Ice Hogs. This is his first taste of any NHL coaching. But yeah, I mean, if I think people would have been shocked if Anders Sorensen came into this position and did anything that resembled a turnaround in this season from this Blackhawks team. I think people would have been completely shocked.
Yeah.
And while Davidson has said, like, yeah, Anders will be part of the coaching search, he'll have an opportunity, blah, 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 but he's staying with the organization, basically is saying, like, we pretty much know he's not going to be the head coach, right? Like, that feels like they're not going to get into the position that they did with Derek King, where it was just like, well, we like you, we don't want to fire you, but we're not going to give you the head coaching job. So now they're getting ahead of it and being like, Anders, we like you. We would like you to be the Rockford head coach because you've had success at that level in that role. That's where we think you're going to be best. Thank you for being the head coach of the NHL team, but go back to your regularly scheduled assignments.
Yeah, it's beyond time. I mean,
the head coaching position, if it's John Cooper, fantastic, wonderful. Like you said, that's almost bigger than getting Marner or Rantanen.
All you're doing though is setting yourself up for disappointment with that whole thing. There's a very, very slim chance of that. Like, Tampa is not going to let John Cooper walk.
They shouldn't.
Why? Why would they do that? There's no rhyme or reason to that at all. If anything,
just for the fact that he doesn't have a contract extension with the organization beyond this year allows for that conversation to happen. I don't think he's going to become available. I agree. But if he does, that's the guy that you throw a pile of money at and say, come be our coach, come figure this out with this young group of guys. You could get Mike Sullivan. If he becomes available, that seems like a guy that can come in and can, has a lot of experience, has a lot of success, is coming off of coaching Malkin and Crosby and those guys, winning Stanley Cups. Like, that's a guy that intrigues me. If you want to,
some saying that won't happen, but I mean, Penguins are bad too. They lost 7-1 to the Flyers.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not going to happen in the rest of the season.
No,
but once the season's over, and if and when they miss the playoffs, most likely, then that's probably when that conversation happens. And if that it does, then that's a guy that you also go in hard on and try and get him here to be the head coach. I think as much as we're just like try to avoid retreads, sometimes retreads work. Sometimes guys can come in and have an impact, and if they bring a resume of success, something that players can hang on to, that makes a big impact. And I don't know. I think the opportunity is there for a guy like Bruce Boudreau as well. Like if you want to get him out of his broadcasting jobs and say, hey, do you want to come back and coach? He's a guy that players can respect. He's a guy that's had success. He's a guy that has enough of a resume where he can dig into players, veterans and young guys alike, and the message will get across. Like I don't think if Anders Sorensen digs into guys, which we've seen him do a few times in practices, I don't know how much it resonates with the veterans, and that's just being honest. Like we've all been in positions before, I'm sure, where someone at your job or on a team or whatever has a position higher than you that maybe you don't necessarily take heed of what they say or believe in what they say, but when they dig in, you kind of just roll your eyes. That happens everywhere. That happens in jobs, that happens in school, that happens on sports teams at all levels, little league up to professional. So that could be something that's happening with this team, could have happened with Luke Richardson. I think if you have a guy with some cachet to his name, with some success in the NHL, it can completely change the complexity of this team, the atmosphere of this team.
Well, tomorrow's show, by the way, is going to be a lot about the coaches. We're going to wrap up our mailbag from Monday, and one of the big questions in there is who are some of the coaching options for this team. We're going to get into it big time. I Boudreau, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to cover the guy. Seems like a lot of fun. I'm sort of the mindset here, like maybe it's time for a bit of a hard ass.
He's a hard ass.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm glad it's not my job. Okay, Green Eyes is clarifying his name. There you go. It's Gurnays, is what I called Gurnays. He says it's Green Eyes.
Took the vowels out.
That makes sense. Why would you take the vowels out of your name? That's stupid. Thanks for listening to CHGO Blackhawks. He says you pronounce it differently every time, so it's probably time to clarify the pronunciation.
Green Eyes.
Thank you, Green Eyes. That's fine. You didn't have to pay us $5. We would have found it. Windy City Hockey says Jay Woodcroft is a solid option. I mean,
he's available.
Jay Woodcroft had the...
He also coached the Oilers.
The Oilers,
a lot
who
different.
Massively underachieved under his guidance last year, and they needed to make a coaching change to turn that ship around. So I don't know. The problem is, it's gotten to the point now where I worry about like some of the culture here. Like, are there veterans here who are like, everyone's stupid but me? I don't know. I hope not. I really hope that's not the case, and I hope the ones that are like that are gone after this year. But I feel very jaded about the whole thing right now. Like, I feel like it almost has to be a sure thing, like a John Cooper, Mike Sullivan type. I don't know. Michael for $5 says, who are realistic free agent signings to help push this team? Who are your pipe dream free agent signings? How quickly does the coach get hired during the offseason? We have talked about the free agents ad nauseum every show. Rantanen, Marner are the pipe dreams. They can afford both of them. They really could afford both of them. On a lesser level, Brock Besser, Nikolai Ehlers, guys like that would come in and help the team. As for coaching, I think they need to hire a coach very, very quickly.
I think with what we saw with the Richardson hiring, that came about mid-June before the draft. I don't think he really had any input in the draft, but I think and clearly before free agency, that has to happen. You can't not have a coach and try and entice free agents to come here. So yeah, I would imagine that coaching hire, depending on who they're trying to talk to, who's available, who's not still in the playoffs. If there's a guy that they think is going to be available but is still in the playoffs, that all has to play out. I would imagine by mid-June, that would be the latest that they would make the hiring.
I am still checking for a post-game video to come through, but it appears my internet is out.
Oh, that sucks.
So
nothing's come through yet. I did see TSN did tweet out a video. Looks like it is from the CHSN.
Yeah, I don't think we can use that
post-game show. Yeah, no, that'll be different. So yeah, we'll still hold out a bit here and see if we get the video from the Blackhawks in time. If they're watching and waiting for us to wrap up the show to send it, we got nowhere to be, Chris.
Send it.
Oh, wait.
Hit the send button. We'll be nice, I promise.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I would love if it didn't take Seth Jones putting his foot in between the door jamb to have this kind of openness. I think if you have this kind of openness as a player, as a veteran, as a guy who's, you know, a leader in the locker room, as people, you know, players and coaches have said since he's done this quote unquote trade request, there's been no issues with him. You know, it's not causing any problems in the locker room. If you're a guy that has that kind of standing, being that blunt and that honest, I think can go further than just kind of playing it off as like, you know, it's got to kind of figure out what we're trying to do. And, you know, we know what you got to do. But we're trying to implement it. If you're just like, we know what we have to do and we're not doing it. Like that kind of pointedness, whether it's publicly in the media or if it's to your teammates, like that can jumpstart some guys, or it should at least.
I just don't know how that hasn't happened yet.
Maybe no one's saying it. I don't know. I highly doubt that. But
you got a guy like Nick Foligno in that room who's not. I mean, he said it to us.
Yeah.
Over and over. I mean, look, just go back to the atmosphere in the locker room after the Winter Classic. I was like, this is gut check time for this team. Like, this should be a turning point that they rally and improve, and they were a little bit better for a while, and then it gets right back to where you're at.
Well, and that came after what we found out was Kyle Davidson going down into the Cubs locker room and digging into them.
Yeah.
And
which, as far as I know, that's the first and only time that's happened.
It's the only time I can remember it happening. So, I don't know. Guys got to, again, figure out what you're playing for. Even if you're playing for yourself, I will take guys being selfish, playing for themselves, trying to improve their own positions within the team or within the NHL in general. If they're playing for a contract here or elsewhere, or if they're playing for their own NHL spot, I will take guys playing for themselves to try and push this team forward.
A lot of people pointing out that the Seth Jones video is on Twitter. We cannot use video that is not property of us. We will get flagged on YouTube, and we will get
this is true
blamed by those companies. So we would love to be able to just grab off Twitter and play it, but we can't do that until we have permission to play video that the Blackhawks send, and until they send it to us, we can't play it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I do see it out there.
Yeah.
If you want to find it, it's there.
And what we're talking about is the full availability that Jones had, not just the 1 minute clip. Right. The 1 minute clip appears to be just the quote that we've already said. Right. So again, if we are available to get the full video up, I think full video in context would be good to hear from. So.
All right. Another super chat from Michael says, do you worry that Bedard will request a trade or not re-sign? When do the Hawks re-sign him and how quickly?
So he's an RFA.
After he's got this year and next, and then he's an RFA.
Yeah.
Without arbitration rights.
Right. So up until he's 25, since he started playing at 18 years old, he'll be an RFA until he's 25. No, I don't worry about that, because rarely does that happen with players of his caliber. But it's not nothing that this team has been losing a lot. And it's not nothing that he has been under the microscope ever since he got here. He's had national media down his neck now this year. And that weighs on a guy. So yeah, I don't worry. People are like, he's gonna, gonna ask for a trade next year. Or he's not gonna sign his second. That's very, 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 very rarely ever happens. So I'm not worried about it.
And yeah, number one picks always go to ass teams. That's why they're number one picks.
Right. And if it continues beyond, into next season and the season after, then yeah, you're absolutely looking at a guy who probably is sick of losing at that level. I don't think these 2 seasons makes him say, get me the F out of here.
All right, we just got the video, Sarah. I put it in Slack, so we'll get to it as soon as we can. It is Jones and Donato and Sorensen. I wouldn't mind hearing all of it.
Sure.
I mean, we're going to throw it in. We'll play those 3 in order. I think it's all worth hearing. There was a comment by Josh Doig, who is here all the time, and I don't want to call him out, but we hear stuff like this a lot. Where he said, keep going down. It's like very recent, Sarah. There it is. Richardson and Sorensen were apparently good communicators, and Kyle was bringing better players and winners, etc. And here we are. Who's to blame? Stop beating around the bush. What's the route? I think we've been pretty clear that the people who are most to blame here are the players.
Well, they're the ones going out and playing the hockey.
They're the ones not playing simply. They're the ones not following the system or being told to play. They're the ones who are not ready to play when the puck drops. They're the ones who come out of the second intermission dead and completely, fold the tents as soon as the second period begins, way more often than not. They're the ones that refuse to clear pucks. They're the ones that refuse to put pucks on net. Like, they're not being coached to do this.
No.
And I don't think that it is what we're asking for from these players is, like, unreasonable. It's your freaking job to do what the coaches tell you to do. And you might not completely believe in the system you're being coached to play. And you might not think that the guys instructing you are, the combination of Al Arbor, Scotty Bowman, and Joel Quenneville. I don't care.
Right.
Go out and execute and do your job. And I promise you that if you do the things that you're being coached to do, you will have success. We have seen it. The first period against Toronto, they were all over them. Mm-hmm. Why were they all over them? They chipped the puck in. They won races to pucks. They finished checks. They won board battles, and they put the puck on net. It is the simplest game. If Team USA and Team Canada for the 4 nations, despite their talent, can get together with 2 practices and look the way they looked, the Hawks, after 70-some games or 50-some games, can get it together, play the system that they've practiced over and over and over and over again, and execute. I don't care if you don't like it. Go out and execute the job, and you will have better results. So I don't know if that's beating around the bush. The players are the ones to blame. The players. Let's go back to July 1st. I don't think there was anybody in this chat, in the fan base, hosting this podcast that, aside from the TJ Brody signing, had any problems with any of the guys they brought in. 6 Stanley Cups between Maroon and Martinez. Mm-hmm. Craig Smith has been on good teams his entire career, has been a physical player, a North and South player. All of these things made sense. Bertuzzi and Teravainen were 2 of the better available free agents. Some people didn't like Tyler Bertuzzi personally, but the signing made sense. Everybody wanted Tavo here. It hasn't worked. Why hasn't it worked? The players aren't executing. And some of the guys I named are to blame for that. Right? Like, How many times have we seen Tavo with a wide open shot that he doesn't take?
Yeah, that's happening.
How many times have we seen today? Martinez just pull up and not finish a check.
Yeah. You have it comes down to the players, because they're the ones that have to go out and execute. The coaching staff isn't completely blameless. Like, there are things that clearly at the beginning of this season under Luke Richardson, they were playing a different style that basically was not fitting for what this roster was. Wasn't getting the most out of Connor Bedard, and Sorensen has come in with a different philosophy, but it still comes down to the execution of that.
Right.
And again, I come back to the willingness and the want to and the effort levels. Those are the things. This team is not supremely talented, but you can overcome a lot of that, or at least equal the playing field with a consistent effort night in and night out. Like you care to win hockey games. Like you care that you're getting caved in with against Utah with the possession and trying to make your possessions count and trying to, put in the extra work in a board battle or a battle at the front of the net to change momentum. And I'm not saying guys are packed in, but you gotta find what is going to get your motor going to that 100% level night in and night out, because that's what the money's for.
Yeah, I think they're going to find it with 24 games to go.
Sure.
All right, we've got post-game video. Is this just Seth, or is this all three?
I don't even know. I just exported it. It starts with Jones.
So
I
it's
think the
Jones,
whole thing's
Donato,
Jones.
and Sorensen. Yeah,
because it's 5 minutes long.
Okay,
Let's
so
go
this should
for it.
be Jones, Donato, and Sorensen in that order. This courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks.
We put ourselves in tough situations out there by turning pucks over and forcing Sody to make 40 saves, and stand on his head to even have a chance.
The scoring chances were something along the lines of 50 to 11 or something, at least
Makes sense.
into the last few minutes. Just what was so tough to kind of get any possession or pace in that game?
Refusing to play simple and turning pucks over, not just forwards, it's everybody. Defensemen, we weren't very good on the breakouts tonight. And like I said, Sody's got to stand on his head to even, we have no business being in that game.
Why do you think it's happening? Obviously you guys are put a lot of thought into working on this, but what needs to change for this ever to, to right itself?
I don't know. I think we're the exact same team right now as we were at game one, and I think it's pretty evident out there. We haven't made any strides to be a better, more simple hockey team, and it shows. We don't get a lot of wins because of that.
Is this kind of an opportunity to gauge that since you started here and now 60 games and almost you're back here again?
Well, this has been almost 4 years of bottom of the league, so it's not just this year, for me at least.
Isn't it also hard, 5 penalties,
Yeah.
to stay on the ice?
It doesn't help, but like I said, it puts a ton of pressure on Sody. It just kills momentum. If you have 1 or 2 good shifts in a row and then you take a penalty, we had 3 in the first, 2 in the second. I don't know if we had one in the third. 10 minutes is a long time on the kill. You don't get the flow of the guys going offensively. Now guys have to sit, and then it's tough to get anything going. So definitely staying out of the box is key. But I'll say it again. Sody was unbelievable. We have 0 chance of winning if he doesn't stand on his head.
On your power play goal, when you switched up with Bedard, a lot of times you'll hand off to him. What made you decide to keep it that time?
I think teams know he's dangerous. Both guys kind of went to him. I tried to bait it a little bit, and they both bid on that. And so I decided to take one to the net. It was a great screen by Bert. We've talked about movement a little bit over the past, since the break, just trying to get more things going when they get stagnant. And so that's what I try to do there.
Great game by Sody. I don't know. It's tough. Games are just going to get harder, especially at this point of the year. Teams are making their playoff pushes, right? And this team was desperate, and, they came away with a win. We just got to show up and, put forth a great effort, a full 60 minutes and, try and get a win.
What made it so challenging to even get through the neutral zone today?
I don't know. I haven't really get to watch them, obviously, the clips yet, but, obviously they're a team that's, pretty disciplined, a lot of guys with good sticks, so I think that has something to do with it. And, I think just a little bit of managing pucks on our end, just making sure we're doing the right thing with the red line and, forcing them to, play defense.
Are you seeing the effort, the desperation you'd like to see from this group, or do you, not seeing enough of that either?
No, I think, we're a young group, right? So I think a lot of guys are learning what it takes. And, I don't know how many young guys you have on our team that have played against teams that are desperate for points, trying to get those points to make a playoff push. And, it's a hard, there's some hard lessons to learn in that, but I think, there was definitely a lot of effort tonight. We just got to find a way to get more on the score sheet.
It was a huge scoring advantage for Utah, especially in the third period. What do you attribute to that?
That's a hard question, right? I wish we had the answer. Keep on praying that Sody makes some big saves and, hopefully we get some bounces the other way and, get some momentum off that.
Penalties, right? A lot of penalty trouble, kind of wore some guys out and put us on their heels a lot, right? So that was a big part of it, I thought.
It seemed like 5-on-5, even just not able to create much offense or get to the neutral zone. What did you see that they were doing? You guys weren't able to execute.
Yeah, they were stifling us. They were kind of, they were staying above us a lot, so we didn't find a lot of space there. But we did have some space. I don't think we made the plays maybe quick enough that we need to make.
How'd you like Bedard's new line? I know there wasn't a lot overall, but
I think it's hard to judge after that game because we didn't create much. We, like I said, there was a lot of penalties, and they never really got into rhythm, I didn't think. So I thought in the third period they were better.
Seth was saying that he feels like this team hasn't really made many strides just from the start of the year to now, and you obviously weren't here the first 2 months, but do you feel like there's been strides made?
I think certain areas, certain areas no, but certain areas, yeah.
How about Del Mastro, at least during the second period, he seemed like he was playing physical.
Yeah, I thought he was good. He battled hard. I thought he, took initiatives too with the puck, and yeah, I liked this game.
Donato mentioned just how young you guys are and them learning maybe the desperation of going up against a team who's fighting for a playoff spot. How much do you, I guess, lean on that as, what's happening out there, or, I guess, how much of a factor is that?
Yeah, I mean, that is a learning curve, right? You can tell, right? And these guys are, fighting for a playoff spot, and, you're going to learn that the desperation is going to be it, especially on the road, right? They were coming. I thought the first period we were fine, and then, again, the penalties are just, there were so many, and it's just hard to get in the rhythm in general. And that's also a learning curve for young guys. If you're maybe don't play in the rhythm, you're not playing regularly there, and then you got to find a way to stay mentally in the game.
Do you feel like Bedard kind of doesn't draw as many penalties as he should, or just doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from the refs? I mean, he drew the one, but there was also the one on Sergachev that could have been called, and it just seems like that's a common story a lot of nights.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's, maybe at times, yeah. I thought there was a couple through the neutral zone as well today. He got hooked and held a little bit, but yeah.
What about Soderblom, to face all the scoring chances that he faced?
Yeah, he was good. He was great. Yeah, he kept us in, especially on the PK again, right? Like, he made some big saves, but even 5-on-5, he was really good.
All right, that is Seth Jones, Ryan Donato, and Anders Sorensen, courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks. We thank them for sending that to us so we can use it and play it on the show.
That's how it works. We're refusing to play simple.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. My eyelid is twitching.
Yeah, it's very
Sarah,
annoying.
zoom in on my eyelid.
Yep.
Don't do it. Don't. I am at a loss for words with this team. I mean, it's one thing to see it and we say it, but then you have, and it, again, like I said, it's unfortunate that it's basically taken out the door Seth Jones to get to this point, but to actually admit, like, it's not, we got to figure out our game, we got to do blah, blah, blah. No, we're refusing to do the simple things. Refusing to do the small things that 99 times out of 100 will lead you to success in hockey. It can be all the analytics, all the system things aside, playing a simple game can be the easiest way, maybe not the most exciting way, but the easiest way to find success in hockey. If you're committed to it and you buy in and you do the small things, you get those little details right, the big things will go your way. And if you have a refusal to do those simple things that you've done your whole life as a hockey player, I don't know what else to tell you at the NHL level.
All you have to do is watch any playoff game. Any NHL playoff game.
Some of these guys have played in playoff games.
Yes.
Did you know Pat Maroon and Alec Martinez are 3-time Stanley Cup champions?
I've heard that. Yes, I have. You don't see stick handle, pass during the playoffs. Bodies in front, pucks on net. It is so simple. If the Dynasty Blackhawks can do it, the crap-ass worst team in hockey Blackhawks could do it. Simple should be easier for the team that sucks.
Right.
And I'm sorry, am I being mean saying they suck? They suck. There's no way to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Find the analytic you want. You gave up 93 shot attempts to a team that's not in the playoffs. You got waxed by a team without a name. It wasn't the Oilers. It wasn't the Panthers. 93 shot attempts by the Utah Hockey Club? Are you kidding me? That's your identity. You found it. You suck ass. You are uncoachable and you're losers. Next year, bring it on. I'm ready for it. Can we go home now?
Yes, sim to the end of the show.
We're back tomorrow at
Wait,
2:30.
we have 4-star.
4-star.
It's
Guess
Arvid
who? It's Arvid
Soderblom.
Soderblom. Wait, she made the graphic. We got to see the graphic.
Good job for
Yeah, see,
Arvid.
there
He
we go.
deserved
Arvid
better.
He does
deserves it.
deserve it.
Arvid deserved better tonight.
Arvid, I'm
the
talking
team
to
did
everyone
not.
but you.
Yes, you have become the most likable Blackhawk.
No, without a doubt.
That is how this season has gone.
Now we can go home.
All right. More tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow in 4 minutes.
Yes, it will. I might just sleep here.
Time to go home.
Wouldn't be the first. All right. Talk to y'all later. Thanks for watching. We love you. Talk to you tomorrow at 2:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.